The Rockville United Methodist Church was originally part of Impact Harrisburg, which was a plan that was developed to bring together 10 churches in the Harrisburg city area. The Rockville congregation, as well as several others, chose not to follow in that direction.
And as a result of conversations that folks at Rockville had with George Reynolds over at Lingle's Town Life, the campuses decided to merge and sort of do a multi-site model.
After a long process of discernment with myself, with our leadership here at Lingle's Town, and then with the folks at the Rockville campus, we determined that the best possible way to move forward was for the Rockville campus and the Linglestown campus to be combined into Linglestown Life.
I was hired to both revitalize the existing congregation and also to do church planning and community building.
We saw the Rockville campus really as a place from which we could do a unique kind of ministry in the Rockville area.
Our vision statement at this campus specifically is to have a heartbeat for the neighborhood. You know, we can't change the world, but we can change our neighborhood, and we can be changed by our neighborhood. We live out our faith in our corporate worship on Sunday mornings, and then also that we intentionally live out our faith in community with others.
There's a wide range of people living in the Rockville area, and we wanted to understand what are the specific needs in that community. And so that's a lot of what we did in the beginning. We took the time to understand who lives in the Rockville area and what are some of those specific needs.
We're really actively trying to do community organizing in ways that are decolonized. We're not trying to say we know what everyone needs and you need this thing and the problem you had. We're trying to figure out how to work with folks in our area to make everyone's life better.
One of the ways that we began to discern that was through talking with different people in the community, and I think the most impactful conversations we had came at the level of the Susquehanna Township School District.
One of the top indicators of a child graduating from high school is whether or not they're able to stay at their reading level.
There's a lot of evidence that kids were grade levels behind. We started doing community classrooms where we offered space in our church building, and then out of that grew a deeper sense that kids can use more support and education. In conversations we've had with folks, community leaders, people in our literal neighborhood, we realized that their initiatives around good eating, around education, and just around gatherings was super important to the community. So we used that as our framework.
You guys ever forgot something at home? It's the worst.
And that, in essence, was probably one of the things that led us to create Raise as a community center. We saw an opportunity to meet a specific need in which we recognized as a potential area to introduce ourselves into a community that up to that point hadn't really darkened the doors of the church.
And so that's where Raise Place comes in. I think it's sort of our expressions of faith. And we've had a long history here of caring for and supporting missions. And truly this is our way of narrowing our mission to be much more clear and to do something meaningful.
I remember the day that we walked in to the building that is now Raise.
And so we're walking around Ray's place.
It had been junked. There was all sorts of things.
And it was dusty and it was dark.
It had been storage for this old motorcycle shop.
I, at first, had no idea how we could possibly use this building because it was just full to the brim with stuff.
But it wasn't long after we walked in for the very first time that I began to have this stirring deep within me that just said, there is so much potential here.
Our church really decided to use Ray's Place that was already a known community asset to keep the name, and decided as we talked with people in our neighborhood what they would like to see, what they think people needed in our area and decided to craft and create a space that would work and operate under those terms.
I could see that it was such a great location, being right next to the park, and started to be able to picture children reading there and shelves of books, and just how with a little bit of work, a little bit of paint, we could make it into a usable space to gather with the community.
Mr. Morton is the subject.
We organized a couple days for teams of people to go in, and we had to tear some things down.
And once we finally got the building totally cleared out, then we could start demoing some of the shelves that were and the countertops that were in there from when it was a hardware store. And then we went on to clean it up.
Then we brought teams in who were willing to paint, teams who were willing to rework windows, to frame out windows, to put up lighting.
When I look at it now, it's so hard to picture what it was when you look at just how beautiful it is right now.
Recycle Bicycle fixed my first real bike in college. Though I was away for a few years, I came back and called up Ross from Recycle Bicycle and just simply asked, could you help me get a bike ride started, a once a month at Ray's place?
He's opening up a community church with a community room, so when he wanted to do rides, we could supply him with bikes and any other know-how.
You can go on a 3 or 4 mile bike ride and it'll have some sort of benefit to your health.
So now, Ray's place, right on the Greenbelt, has its own personal bike repair station, all supplied by a Boy Scout and Recycle Bicycle.
At Ray's Place, we're really convinced that we need to attend to the heart, body, soul, and mind. So we're trying to make sure that we care and promote healthy living at the same time that we're trying to promote education and well-being long-term.
Whether you're a person of faith or not, when you help somebody to know that they're cared for and loved and that their needs are important, you help bring dignity and honor to that person. And so that's what Raise ultimately is going to be about. It's about people getting to build relationships with one another. It's about people bringing dignity to each other. It's about people finding out how they can use their gifts together to reach a larger community.
His name is Ahmed.
Ahmed, yep.
Ahmed?
So the best ways to get involved with Ray's Place Community Center are first to just come and see it, come and really see what's going on. Join us for one of our events or our reading program or some gardening hours. The second thing is to become regularly involved with what we're doing. Or if you can't get involved but you know a family whose kids needs more support and learning, send them our way. If you're someone who wants to just eat the food that we grow, connect with us in that way. You can also support us financially when we receive donations at Ray's Place Community Center through Lingelstown Life. Those funds allow us to do these programs. They also allow us to buy snacks for our kids' reading program, new books that are more developmentally appropriate. The funds that you can give empower us to grow good food that we can share and distribute. And the best thing that you can do is just tell someone who you think in our neighborhood or region could get involved, who's either wanting to get involved with something to have a greater purpose, or who you think could benefit from what we're doing. This is not the church sitting on the sidelines. This is the church in action. This is the church making a meaningful difference through Ray's Place Community Center.
Just walk in that building one time. Spend an hour with some kids, reading to them, listening to them read to you.
What is it?
And I believe that begins to touch your heart in a way that challenges you to do more than just say, well, I served my time. I think it begins to transform your heart, and it begins to give you the heart of God to care for those people that God created in His image, people that God loves with a deep kind of love and compassion. And I think if you just step across that barrier and just walk into that room and get to know people, it will change you, and you'll get to see how your life changes somebody else's.